What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, we've been having a roller coaster ride in politics. The political landscape is insane right now. We had a very crazy election. Nobody really thought that the needle was going to shift that far toward Donald Trump. Then he starts coming out with all his cabinet picks, and we're like, yes. And then Matt Gaetz comes through, and I'm like, yes! Matt Gaetz is my second favorite congressman right after Chip Roy. And I'm cheering for this. I'm like, yes, he's going to go in, he's going to clean up the DOJ and blah, 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 and you name it, right? But then, oh, here we go, folks. Oh, the House Ethics Committee has to come in, and all of a sudden, right, like this years-long investigation just so happens to coincide with Donald Trump picking Matt Gaetz to be AG. It's all very convenient, if you ask me, right? So, all right, so we got this ethics report coming out, and it's like, okay, whatever. We know for a fact, especially viewers of this channel, I've covered Matt Gaetz. I've covered these allegations because the DOJ investigated Matt Gaetz. The FBI investigated Matt Gaetz and found nothing there. There's absolutely nothing to go on. They found no wrongdoing at all. Right, and it was a sex trafficking investigation. So, and it was Matt Gaetz, somebody who is a staunch critic of the DOJ, of the federal government. So, you know damn good and well, if there was going to be anything there, they were going to pin it to this dude. They were just going to pin him, nail him to the freaking wall, right? But nothing whatsoever. They dropped all the investigation, and now it's just alleged. Right, and now since he's been picked, and we've been having the entirety of the mainstream narrative machine coming out and saying, oh, he's been investigated for allegedly sex trafficking, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, so what? A lot of people get investigated for all kinds of different things. It's like, what you are saying doesn't matter. They're making a huge deal out of nothing. They're making a mountain out of a tiny molehill, right? Or an anthill, or a pebble. Because it's absolutely nothing. But do not let that fool you, folks, because check this out. House Ethics Panel has no agreement on releasing Matt Gaetz' report after meeting. So, they're not going to release the report according to this. But, not to be outdone by the House, Senate Democrats seek evidence from FBI sex trafficking probe of Trump AG pick Matt Gaetz. But, however, not to be outdone by that, check this out. Gaetz sent over $10,000 in Venmo payments to two women who testified in House probe. Records suggest. That's a very interesting headline right there. And you might think, well, that's kind of an innocuous headline. Okay, so he sent $10,000 to two women. Apparently it's not so cut and dry, if you will. Let's get into this thing right quick because, yeah, there's a lot of funny business going on with this here. The House Ethics Committee obtained records, including a check and records of Venmo payments that appear to show that then Rep. Matt Gaetz paid more than $10,000 to two women who were later witnesses in sexual misconduct probes conducted by both the House and the Justice Department, according to documents obtained by ABC News. Now, what's so funny about that, they had to throw that in there, that this was an investigation of sexual misconduct by Matt Gaetz. But once you read this story out, we come to find out that these Venmo payments and all this is totally unrelated to that investigation. You know, but because the corporate press is the corporate press, they're going to smash these two things together. This is just, you got to love these people, man. The Venmo records show that between July 2017 and late January 2019, Gaetz, who was first elected in 2016, so they want to make you know that, hey, he was a congressman when all this went down, right? So, once again, we'll get into my thoughts here in a minute. Allegedly made 27 Venmo payments totaling $10,224.02 to the two witnesses who were over the age of 18 at the time. Once again, they had to let you know that, hey, they're not minors here. So, once again, it has nothing to do with the sex trafficking garbage that they were talking about, because that had to deal with a minor who, once again, he's been absolved of all that, by the way. The payments, which sources said were displayed during closed-door testimony, range from $100 to more than $700 each. ABC News previously reported that House investigators had subpoenaed Venmo for Gates' records and had been showing them to witnesses. What, like, huh? Showing them to witnesses, huh? Asking if they were for sex or drugs. Right? You got to love these people. They're just smashing up a whole bunch of different things. The Venmo records totaling over $10,000 in payments were shown to the witnesses, who testified that some of the payments were from Gates and were for sex, a source familiar with the investigation told ABC News. Now, I wonder who this source is. So, we learn at the beginning of this video that House Ethics Panel, they're not releasing their report. So, obviously, this was a upset Democrat on this ethics panel that come out to ABC and told them this. So, are we going to put much stock in this? It's either that, like it's a House Democrat, right? Or it's a staffer of a House Democrat that has contacts in ABC, because ABC was the reporting source for this. So this is just great, right? So what's going on with this? We know that House Democrats hate Matt Gaetz. So putting 2 and 6 together, yes, I don't believe this whatsoever. This is all garbage. And it's, once again, it's all very, very convenient for the Democrats, right? For Senate Democrats who are going to the FBI to get all the documents from their investigation. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's keep going, though. Gaetz, who was tapped last Wednesday by President-elect Donald Trump to serve as Attorney General in the incoming administration, resigned from the House immediately following Trump's announcement, just days before the House Ethics Committee was set to consider releasing a report on its investigation into the Florida congressman, according to sources. Once again, how very convenient this is. This is all just way too convenient for me, considering what they did to Brett Kavanaugh, right? Like, all of a sudden he gets appointed to the Supreme Court, and he's going through his confirmation process. Just before the confirmation process starts, all these allegations come out about him, right? Like, this is what Democrats do. It's called a wrap-up smear, folks. Nancy Pelosi told us everything.
So they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
Yeah, so I don't take much stock in this, according to sources, huh? And they won't give out who these sources were. Now, once again, like we know, I'm going to go over this one more time. The House Ethics Panel won't release the report. So the only people that are privy to that information would be House Democrats and House Republicans who are on that committee. So, once again, how could they get hold of this information that apparently comes from that report, according to ABC? Sources familiar, at least. This is just all way too convenient, and I don't know if I believe it. Now, I really want to see this ethics report on Matt Gaetz, because I really want to see, like, who are these witnesses? What are we talking about here? Like, what's really going on? Because this all just seems way too convenient for me to just buy into it, right? Which, this isn't going to change my mind, because from what we're seeing here, there's nothing wrong with any of this at all. Nothing wrong whatsoever. Because the women aren't prostitutes, apparently. So he didn't purchase prostitutes. They appear to be just friends of his. So I'm not sure what they're trying to get at here, is what I'm saying. The Justice Department spent years probing sexual misconduct allegations against Gates, as well as allegations of obstruction of justice, before informing Gates last year that it would not bring charges. Gates has long denied any wrongdoing related to the allegations investigated during the Congressional and Justice Department probes. The Justice Department received access to roughly every financial transaction Matt Gaetz ever undertook and came to the conclusion that he committed no crime. Once again, ABC is telling us he committed no crime. That's what the Justice Department found. So, once again, why are they drumming up all this nonsense? Yeah, it's a wrap-up smear, folks. Simply put, it's a wrap-up smear. You get some false allegations going, then you get the corporate press to report on it, and then they can merchandise the reporting, and then all of a sudden you can say, oh, well, ABC reported this. And then, hey, to be completely circuitous here, then ABC is going to report, oh, well, Nancy Pelosi said this about such and such, because she heard this from them. And it just goes, it's just a big old circle, if you know what I mean. Trump transition spokesperson Alex Pfeiffer, I guess, said in response to ABC News reporting, these leaks are meant to undermine the mandate from the people to reform the Justice Department. Yes, they are. Yeah, they most certainly are. I can almost certainly say that, right? Like, I have no proof here, once again, but I am a person that I notice things, right? I can read writing that is wrote on the wall. And, yeah, what I'm seeing here is just garbage. These are baseless allegations intended to derail the second Trump administration, Pfeiffer said this week of the allegations involving Gates, which the Justice Department began investigating during the first Trump administration. Right, so all of this, once again, like I said the other day in a video, all of this is from years ago. Several years ago. This started while Trump was still in office. So that should tell you about any kind of claims that may be made in any of these allegations. They're all just, it's all old news, if you will. Descriptions in the notes section for some of the alleged Venmo payments from Gates included labels such as gift, car deductible, cartridges, and refreshments. Other entries referenced travel, and one listed a payment for a flight and the phrase extra for you. That alleged flight payment appears to align with a September 2018 trip to the Bahamas, which ABC News previously reported was part of the Justice Department's investigation into Gates. Yeah, that's where the whole sex trafficking thing came from, right? They were traveling somewhere, but hang on, these women were over the age of 18 at the time. So once again, there was no crime committed here. And, Venmo is one of those online payment deals, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you know what Venmo is. It's something you pay stuff from your phone. You can deposit money into your bank account, transfer from your bank account to Venmo, and then pay for all kinds of stuff from Venmo. It's like a cash app, if you will. But all of this tells us nothing, but they are making a huge deal out of all this, right? Like, there's several news stories. Like, you go to the actual news article from Ground News, and they aggregate news stories. And the list was just endless because you could scroll through all the different news sites that cover this story. And it's endless. It's endless. Most of them were left-leaning. Most of them. There were some right-leaning, a lot of centrists, but there was like almost all of the news websites are covering this story. And for what? What is this actually telling us? It's telling us nothing whatsoever, right? People make Venmo payments all the time to all kinds of people, right? Like, they're not telling us about all the Venmo payments that Matt Gaetz made to other dudes. Like, why not? Those payments are definitely there. They're just trying to tell us, oh, he only made Venmo payments to women. But they're not saying that anything happened, right? The Justice Department fully investigated this guy, and there's nothing there. The ethics panel, they're not going to release that report now because Matt Gaetz is no longer in Congress, and you can't really do that. It's highly unethical for them to release a report on a citizen. Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. And then they love to coincide, Matt Gaetz resigning from Congress right before the report came out. No, he resigned when Trump said, hey, you're going to be my AG. Yeah, that's right. Because he can just, if it comes down to it, he's going to be the AG, at least for a while. He's going to be the AG, because if it comes down to it, Trump's going to just recess Congress, force these people to go home, and then he's going to just appoint Matt Gaetz, and Matt Gaetz is going to come in and take over until he can get through the confirmation process. Yes, the president absolutely has that power to do that. He can force the issue, because that's who the president wants to be in this job, right? The standard process is you got to go through the Senate, and they got to confirm you. Right? Like with all kinds of appointments, pretty much every appointment, federal judges, all your cabinet picks and all this garbage, they got to go through the Senate. The states get a say. However, we're worried because Matt Gaetz is not your typical Republican. Then there's a lot of rhinos in the Senate. They're very worried about getting Matt Gaetz through that process, because there's a lot of haters in there. They don't want the justice. A lot of rhinos, let me get you at this. A lot of rhinos and Democrats, the establishment politicians in Washington, D.C., love the status quo. They don't like when stuff gets shaken up. They can't do anything about Donald Trump at this point. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to disrupt Donald Trump as much as they possibly can. And yes, most Republicans in the Senate are rhinos. Right? Whether they vote to confirm Matt Gaetz or not, most of them are rhinos, aside from a couple. There's a couple of them in there that's they don't seem to be rhinos, but you never really know with these people. It's hard to tell. Most politicians are very hard to read. Very hard to read. But, the corporate press is trying to drum up all this attention to get on to Matt Gaetz. And, notice the way they're phrasing all these paragraphs. Throwing it in there with the sexual misconduct. Like, oh, well, he had Venmo payments during an investigation into sexual misconduct. It's like, hang on, but those Venmo payments had nothing to do with that. Absolutely had nothing to do with that. And plus, he was absolved of all those crimes. So he didn't do anything wrong. So why are we putting 2 and 6 together? Like, we really don't need to, when it should be 2 and 2 to get 4. Instead of 8, if you know what I mean. But these people are insane, y'all. They are outright insane, and don't let these people fool you. They will try to turn your opinions on these people and get you to view them badly. When Matt Gaetz is going to come in, he's going to clean up the Justice Department, because it has absolutely been weaponized. And it seems like a lot of those employees at the Justice Department are just going right along with the weaponization. They were ripe for weaponization, if you will. But I think that's all I got on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Y'all do me a big favor and smash that like button for me. If you're new around here, if you've never been to my channel before, this is your first video, do me a big favor, huge favor, smash that subscribe button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you could, share this video anywhere and everywhere. Tell your friends, tell your family. I'm trying to grow this channel, and it's not so easy to do when you don't have advertiser dollars to back your channel up. So I need help from you guys. Y'all smash that like button for me. That's all I got for this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.